Hello, cats and kittens. Oliver Jose, Yoroshku, and we're back on for C3 Weekly. I'm back with one of the founding fathers of C3 Comics, Alan Cole. Say hey.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Back again in the house.
Yeah, there we go. So we're back at it, and today we're actually doing a interview with Alan for Armageddon, one of C3 Comics publications of our, I guess you could say, two universes, I guess. For Armageddon is what? Part one of how many parts of the four story?
For Armageddon is the middle part of a three-part saga.
There you go.
Essentially. Okay. And it's the only thing that in my mind differentiates it from the second wave universe, the SWU, is that it's not a superhero story.
There you go.
At all. It doesn't have any superhero aspects to it, as in, well, there are capes and everything, but that's more so as to the character designs to their structure. This is a universe destruction, universe beginning, epic saga.
And as you can tell by the backdrop behind me, it does have that epic feel. It's, you got
anything goes.
Banners for different, troops. You got swords and spears and wings. You got shields. You got all. You can see kind of, from what you can see behind me, and it has that epic feel. And another thing is that this is a full color book, as opposed to Intrepid, which is a American manga black and white feel. This is a full color, 30. How many pages?
It is full color, but it's being put out in portions. So the black and white goes first, and then we launch it with the color. We wanted to tell the story a little bit more expeditiously. Mm-hmm. So instead of waiting for the colors, put the black and white out, have people get involved with the characters, get invested, and as we're going along, the issues drop with the color as well.
Okay.
So that's why the page that they're seeing behind you is in color. Because that's actually out of the prequel issue.
Yeah, that's actually a double page spread from within the book.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
at the same.
Quite epic indeed. All right, so For Armageddon. What is For about?
For Armageddon is, the title in itself is meant to represent two separate things. So the four is actually the four horsemen. Because the four horsemen are the crux of the story. They're the people that we follow, but they're not the only people that we follow. But this is who the main crux of the story is going to be presented through. And Armageddon is not an Armageddon in the way that everyone is thinking, the end of all things. It's a rite of passage of the gods, essentially. So a quick backstory for it. In this universe in particular, all universes have already existed. So your Hellraiser universe, your Greek gods universes, and what ends up superhero universes. What ends up happening is there's one god that creates everything. He has his book, which you can attribute to any kind of mythical, magical books. Everything that he is goes into that book. Everything that has been or everything that has already been is already inside the book. So it's not necessarily that the book itself is a power source, but it is the book of all knowledge. And with that book, the progeny of that god, which is usually always four, it's always an even number. In this particular case, it's going to be four. And it's not the four horsemen. The four horsemen are just one of four brothers. So when it comes time for them to inherit the old sage's book, which is the god that we currently have, they do what's called the Armageddon, where they essentially battle each other in a number of different ways. You can win through brute strength, through skill, through being wily, whatever creative ways that they can come up with. But essentially, as they devour each of their brothers' experience, knowledge, power, everything goes inside the book and is collected. So the actual winner of the Armageddon is presented with the book, and then they're being they're given the ability to create their own universe. So that universe continues for however long it is until they have kids of their own, and then the Armageddon begins.
Okay.
The only problem with this one, the only problem with this story, which makes it special from the other ones, is the fact that the only rule with the Armageddon is that the existing God is not supposed to interfere. And he was led astray by one of his own kids to interfere in the Armageddon. And by interfering in the Armageddon, it never actually came to a conclusion. So right now, we're in the middle of what should have already been a concluded Armageddon, and it's not. So we're picking up millennia later, after the betrayal has gone down, and the Horsemen have come back onto the scene. And yes, it was the Horsemen that were betrayed. So the whole things about being good and bad are kind of skewed in this story.
So you say the Horsemen are 4 brothers, and they represent one of the 4 that are participating in the tournament.
Yes.
Correct. All right. So is it cool to ask the other 3, or is that like?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
2 of the other 3 are already gone. 2 of the other 3 are already gone. So there was first Eternal Law.
Okay.
There was the Supreme Being.
Okay.
There was Conquest, who is the Horseman.
Okay.
And then it's the Trinity. So Eternal Law and Supreme Being, the Horsemen have already defeated. And the Trinity is the standing God right now, because the Horsemen were detained. They were captured. And they were captured by their father, everyone's father, the old sage. And, and so we actually pick up the story with their escaping from their imprisonment, which actually, pushes this entire story forward.
Okay.
Reignites the Armageddon again.
The one that should have ended.
The one that should have ended, yes.
Okay. All right. Now, to get all this straight. Now, and it's interesting because, give me a second, the tag for the series is the names, now learn their stories, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Now, tell me about that. What's the thought there?
Well, a lot of people at first notice are going to think that this is a religious story. It's not. It uses names and characters that people may know, and not to say characters as to disrespect anyone's religion, but there are, Lucifer's there, Cartagena, Tiamat, Michael, Gabriel, the actual 4 horsemen, death, war, pestilence, and famine. We use Greek gods in some instances. So there are circumstances where we're using people that you think that you're familiar with this story, and there will be parallels, and that's by design. Sometimes it's when you're introducing characters, it's good to either already have an introduction for those characters, already have a backstory done for them that people are comfortable with, which is, somehow why they say, oh, you need to do like solo movies before you do the team movie, or you can do parallels of existing stories. And this is kind of where we are. So that's why when you see the name Lucifer, you think that he's the bad guy of the story. And not saying that he's not the bad guy, but his story isn't the one that you would think that it is.
Okay.
Same thing with Michael, Gabriel, and all of them. So this is actually how they all come to be what we think that they are.
Okay. That given that, what was the inspiration? Because it's interesting because you say it's the Armageddon is essentially a tournament. And, background wise, we kind of both into anime.
Of course.
And, like stuff to be tournaments,
Of course.
So that pops into my mind. But ultimately, what's the inspiration for the story?
Well, the original inspiration for this story was back in '97, which was completely Dragon Ball Z. That was the one anime that I was watching back then. That was my introduction to anime, and it was just insane with the over the top action. And that's what this was originally. You remember the original the original scripts of this.
Yeah.
I assume. And I mean it was lacking a lot in story. We had a creative twinge to it because originally it was 3 writers on this book, and all 3 writers were going to take the same story and tell from a different character's perspective. So I was going to write the 4 horsemen. Another writer was going to write from Lucifer's perspective, and then at the time Dave was going to write from Michael's perspective. So you would have heaven, hell, and the four horsemen themselves all represented. So you may get that same instance, but from a different perspective. That didn't pan out, and it sat on the shelf for over a decade. And then during that decade, of course, you have, One Piece coming into the play, you have Bleach coming into the play, you have, our own stories with the second wave universe coming into play, where we all became better writers just by bleeding off of each other. So the story itself has become, I think, more epic, not just in its battles, but in its character development, which has actually become quite a pain trying to do it, because we gave ourselves a restriction. We would get all this done within 50 issues. So we count down from 50 to 0, 50 being issue number 1, 0 being the ending issue. So we've had to take some liberties with how we structure the books. Because every fourth issue now is a double-sized issue. Because we just have to get some of this stuff in there, especially now that we're going back and we're expanding on some of the people's roles within the story to give more depth to their characters and to them being supporting characters.
Right.
It's been a journey.
I just finished doing the interview with Frankie. We talked about Ages, how it was ambitious and how it was condensed. But it seems like as ambitious as 4 is, you at least, it seems, have more room to work with. Because like we did, when we was doing, I mean, you was there, when we did Ages, we told a whole lot of story in 3 issues, 30 pages each.
Yeah.
And it like, work was great and all that, but it was too condensed. Do you feel like you have enough room to tell the story that you're telling?
I do. The story has gone into some twists and turns, but I think that now is kind of the perfect day for it to come out, and I'm saying that from a fan. When we first hooked up years ago, right? We would have never dreamed that we would be watching, that we would have weekends where we could binge 10-hour Daredevil shows, or a 4-hour Justice League. Like that was never a thing. Like, it was very, very straight. It was 2-hour theatrical movies. That's it. If you wanted to get something else told in it, you could skip over some of the plot. You can make it very loose. So hopefully if the movie does well, you can get another 2-hour movie to tell your experience. That's not the case anymore. And I think that started our expansion, the way that we looked at it when we looked at anime, when we saw that they had, 500 episodes, 200 episodes, where, in America, we only had, 12 episodes for a season. And then we get another year to get another 12. Yeah. So I think now is actually a very, very good time for this book to come out, and for Ages too, to come out, or at least to start. Ages is a little bit more complex than what this is, but yeah, I think people will be able to follow along with this very nicely, and I have enough space to get done what needs to be done. Good.
That's good to hear. Now, in the works, you said the process began. Actually, it's been in the works since what? Since y'all was
97. Since we was high school. Yeah. 97. Then we took a break. I think because remember, it had to be around 2001 or 2002 when we chose to focus on Intrepid. And then we went full throttle with Intrepid and with Shonen Double Feature. So for Armageddon just sat on the shelf for a long, long time. And then, as fate would have it, we were able to present it. We came across a wonderful artist in Luis Palacio. He helped put together the prequel, and then agreed to stay on and help create this massive universe that we're building. As you can see, I didn't give him instructions for that dragon in the background with the castle on his back.
He came over that on his own, right?
Yeah, that's all Luis, and it's amazing because sometimes Luis will I'll tell him characters to be drawn, or he'll just see a character and he will make a design, and the design that he makes, I'll have to modify how the character is because I like the design so much. It doesn't make sense practically how it's put together, but we love it. So we'll stick with it.
All right. So, all right. Question: fans of what will like 4? Fans of what? I mean, it don't even got to be a movie, a book, or what.
I think 4 is a nice blend of Dragon Ball Z and Game of Thrones.
Okay.
If you're a fan of either one of those, you know, Dragon Ball Z, obviously because of the action, people leveling up, even though they don't level up in the same manner, but just insane action, insane moves, you know, power moves, you know, special fisticuffs. But if you like Palace Intrigue, if you like just Battle for Dominion, because even though I did say that the Armageddon itself is a battle amongst the progeny of that god,
okay,
because of that god's actions and the Horsemen being imprisoned and everything being offset by years upon years upon years, you have new players in the game, meaning your Lucifers, your Cartagena, your Abaddons, these people that are not gods. You know, at best, they're insanely strong, but they're not gods. Like their purpose is not to inherit the book. They're not supposed to be the winners of the Armageddon, but because of what has happened, everything, like everything has been thrown out the window. So now you have all these new players that are involved in this struggle between these last 2 deities. And it can literally go anywhere. So it's not just even, you know, the 2 deities, neither one of them may actually win. We don't know. This is an interesting struggle.
So if you go power scaling, is this a scale of like a DC universe, a Dragon Ball universe?
It's extremely grandiose. I mean, it's they're obviously more adorable. Yeah. Like they're more adorable than Dragon Ball, but then I don't know, they've been put through some ringers too. Let's put it this way: at full strength, nobody would be able to stop them because they're literal gods.
Okay.
And I'm not saying gods that don't get involved, like, you know, they do what they want to do. So to fight them is one thing. So the point where you're seeing them now in the story, they're depleted. The Horsemen are depleted. They've literally been chained up for a millennia. You know, the fact that they even got out is amazing, but it wasn't unexpected for them to get out though.
Okay.
And that's, you know, and and that's what they'll find out eventually. But Lucifer, Abaddon, you know, the archangels, they're all insanely powerful. I mean, you would be able to throw them in essentially any universe and they would be able to, if not completely decimate it, at least. And that's not to say I know everyone wants to make their characters overpowered, but I don't believe when you're dealing with certain characters that they should be able to be obstructed from victory. So as grand as Superman is, as grand as Hyperion is, they aren't gods. You know what they are. They're people from another system. You know, they get their powers a certain type of way. These are gods, right? And they're gods, but they're being put on a very it's not even grounded. They're just being depowered. So throughout the entire series, the Horsemen are getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And at some point they get separated. And once they get separated, they don't even have, so it's like the Ninja Turtles, like, you know, they're all together, but they're very weak when they're by themselves, at least, you know, at least at certain points. You know, I'd rather fight one of them than fight all 4 of them. Let me put it that way. Right. So yeah, it's insane. I mean, these people have the power to create universes.
Okay, that give you an idea of the scale of the powers.
Yeah, that can't be laughed at.
Okay. All right, now who do you expect to be a breakout star character?
I think Pestilence. I think it may change after people start to read it. You know, because obviously people are already going to have their preconceived notions as to certain characters. They're already going to have a certain feeling toward Lucifer, toward the Horsemen. you know, I don't know, toward Abaddon, if someone's really into into like the whole deep names of angels. But no, I think Pestilence, he has a very quirkiness to him that makes him unique amongst the Horsemen. Famine, actually, I think may be, I don't know if a fan favorite, but I think that he may get the most sympathy out of all of them. He is out of everyone, I think that he has a very tragic story that's told. You know, he endures a certain amount of pain directly from one of his brothers. You know, that he kind of carries as his own albatross. So it's an emotional weight, and people will understand how that plays directly into not just his character, but the plot of the story as we get to the end. That he's able to be, I don't want to say manipulated, but he's able to be directed against a particular brother.
Okay.
Yeah, which of course changes everything too.
Okay, I got some inside knowledge, so I ain't gonna say that.
And maybe Lucifer, maybe Lucifer. You know what? I actually think Abaddon is going to be a cool character too. That a lot of people are going to get. A lot of people are going to like. I think he may be kind of, you know, maybe a Sasuke-ish kind of character. Or,
I can see that.
You know, yeah, something like that.
Okay. All right. So now we kind of already got into this with the creative team.
Or the creative
team. Most of this is bottled up in one dude, really. Tell us about the creative team before.
Well, the creative team, myself and David Welcher, we're the creators of For Armageddon and co-plotters. I'm the scripter, so I'm writing all of the scripts. Luis Palacio is the main artist. Every once in a while, he'll take a break, and Bobby Lex will come on. So he actually did all of issue number 45.
Okay.
With some inserts for issue number 46. He may come back on at some point, but Luis is already drawing issue number 44 right now. So that's the beginning of the next arc.
Okay.
And then we have, well, Luis likes to do his own lettering. But we do have another guy who did the lettering for issue number 45, and Francisco Zamora. So he's a guest penciler too. He penciled issue number 45, and he's always available to be pulled.
The whole issue?
Yeah, he did the whole issue of 45.
Wow.
Well, it was good, right?
Yeah. I didn't know that. I thought that was one of them two.
No, it was Francisco.
Nice.
And Luis usually handles the covers, the inside cover, the back, you know, the back cover, any kind of impressions that need to be done. But obviously, Stan is always available too to do those things. So the team is small, but it's very efficient. And if anybody is unavailable to do anything at any given time, there are multiple people that we can kind of use to like fill in those blank spots.
Okay. All right. So what can we expect from 4 in 2021?
2021. Well, the biggest thing is that we have a Kickstarter coming up that's going to launch on May 12th. And that Kickstarter is going to be for the first collected edition, just like Intrepid, following his big brother, the collection. Intrepid did issues 1 through 7. We're doing issues 1 through 7, essentially. We have 40, starting from 50 to 45. And 51 is actually broken up. So if you were to get the individual issues, it reads fine, but it actually works better broken up and placed in different spots within it, you know, to kind of work as backstory. Because once you hit 50 on, everything is happening right here and now.
Okay.
These work as flashbacks to kind of expand upon the scene that you're reading. So you're looking at 200 pages of pure awesomeness, where you're getting an introduction to these just cataclysmic characters.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the date again, what was that for the
May 12th.
launch? May 12th.
May
Okay.
12th.
So we're looking to launch 4 Volume 1 on May 12th.
On May 12th.
On Kickstarter. All right.
Trying to get these books into people's hands, and mind you, so you know, every 4th issue. So this one is issue number 47. Is 56 pages by itself.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, this book has 8 issues in it.
Wow.
So there's a lot of reading to go on.
Yeah, yeah.
Stuff to catch up on. It's a lot of people to get to know. But by the time you get to the end, you're going to see who the main characters that are going to be driving this kind of are.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be introduced to some to the new bad boys on the block too.
Okay. All right. And so also keep an eye out for the Facebook page. We're going to be doing a rollout. You know, we're going to be having different updates, dropping different information as we lead up to the Kickstarter. So keep an eye on our page. You know. All right. Anything else?
No. I'll be seeing you guys between now and then a few more times, and then you know we'll all meet up for the grand release on May 12th.
Okay. All right, y'all. So C3 Weekly, you heard it here first. Rolling up to a Kickstarter for 4 Armageddon. We hope to see you there. Still, we out from the Crisis Corner. Till then, stay loose.
Stay loose, everyone.